Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start our 7:30 hearing of the Board of Appeals. Today is February 8th, 7:30. We're in the John Conference Room. My name is Jeffrey Mullen. I'll be acting as chairman of the Board of Appeals tonight.
Let me just play this little moment for you.
I would have shut my phone off. I apologize for that. With me is Manny Alves to my right, and to my left is Teresa Quijano, members of the Board of Appeals. The first hearing we have is upon the application of Bianca and Claude Calisi, dated January 8, 2018, on file with the board for variances from the terms of Section 6B3, 6C1, and 5A1 of the bylaw. The applicants propose to be able to build a 10-foot by 20-foot second-story addition to the left side and a 13-foot by 20-foot third-story shed dormer to the rear of a single-family home located at 26 Denmark Avenue in Milton. Section 6B3 of the bylaw requires that new dwellings or new portions of dwellings be set back a minimum distance of 20 feet from the front property line, where the applicant is proposing 18 feet. Section 6C1 requires new buildings or new portions of buildings be set back a minimum distance of 10 feet where the applicant is proposing 6 feet from the left side property line, and Section 5A1 limits buildings to 2.5 stories. In determining if a third floor qualifies as a half story, a measurement is taken where 4 feet of space occurs vertically under the plane of the roof. The floor area within the limits of this 4-foot line must be 2/3 or less of floor area of the story immediately below. Very clear. This addition, as proposed, would violate Section 5A1, since the space immediately below the addition on the second floor consists of 546 square feet at 4 feet in height, rather than 468 square feet permitted under the bylaw. The property is located, and therefore requiring a variance. The property is located in a Residence C zoning district. I have in front of me the application that's filed on January 8th, a letter from the Milton Building Inspector, Milton Building Commissioner, denying the building permit and indicating the need for the variances as summarized. A plot plan submitted by Michael Antonio showing the improvements, and a set of drawings by West Bay Associates LLC in 3 sheets showing a plan and elevation of the improvements. I'm going to ask the applicants, Bianca and Claude Calisi, to approach, and welcome to the Board of Appeals. How may we help you tonight? Good evening.
Good evening, Board. Thank you for having us in here. My name is Bianca Calici. I'm here with my husband, Claude Calici, and I'm also here with our architect, Lily Drenova. So we come to you today to ask for permission. We are residents of Milton. We have been living in Milton since...
Before you proceed, can you spell your last name for us?
Drenova.
V or B?
V is Victor.
Drenova. Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So we have been living in Milton since 2015. We love it here. We have 2 children, a boy and a girl that go to Milton Public School. We live in an awesome neighborhood, awesome street. We would hate for any reason to move from our street because it's so wonderful, and our neighbors as well. Due to our growing family, we have encountered with a need of creating some extra space for our family. Right now, we have a 3-bedroom house, and it's technically 2.5 bedrooms because that 1 bedroom is actually, it only fits a twin bed. And I also have some video to show you, just so I can prove to you how tiny this house is, this room is. So we're asking the town of Milton, the board, for permission to allow us to build an extra addition above our garage, our existing garage, just so we can have this little extra space for our daughter or for our son to live in that house. And then we also have our attic, and we would like to turn our attic into an extra livable space, again, due to our growing need of our family. Our children are getting older, and we need some extra space. We have asked our neighbors. We have all our neighbors as supportive as can be. We have letters. We have signatures of support. We also have our neighbors who are in here with us today. You know, from the bottom of our hearts, we do ask, you know, for this variance, you know, only because, you know, we need this extra space for our family. And we just do not see any other way to live in this house, you know, if we do not have this extra space.
Let me, is that all? Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
What I, you know, whenever you have a chance, I would like to show you a video of our tiny bedroom.
I don't know if we need the video.
I would like to.
I think with the board's permission, we'll take notice, and we believe you on the size of the bedroom. So unless you really want to show it to us.
Oh, that's fine.
The only issue with showing it to us is everybody else can't see it. So we have a general idea. We know the area, and we're familiar with the home, and we'll, you seem like a nice person, and we'll take judicial, I don't know if we can take judicial, we'll take administrative notice of the fact that you have a small bedroom. We are interested in anything else that you have, though, in particular those letters from the neighbors.
Yes, I have the entire street, Denmark Ave. All our neighbors signed, put their signatures in here in support, with only 2 people that live away for the winter.
Okay.
We also have a letter from one of our neighbors who unfortunately is not able to make it today, but she wrote the letter for us.
Anything else?
We have a lot of kids who are really sending lots of wishes for us in here in support to have our kids stay in that neighborhood.
Are they relatives of?
No.
Okay. Let me.
The entire street full of kids who.
Pull the kids' card down.
Let me just read the letters. It's short enough that I'll read them. And what we've been presented with is the first is a letter from Laura Griffin, who lives at, I believe, lives at 35 Denmark Avenue. I write in support of the Khaleesi's plans for an addition to the Denmark Avenue home. The addition does not involve more parking or traffic on the street, nor will it negatively affect homes on the street. However, the addition will allow this family and children sufficient space to stay in Milton on this kid-friendly street. As a neighbor and notified abutter, I do hope the board will swiftly approve the application. Thank you for your consideration. I have a second letter. We have a second letter signed by
All the neighbors.
perhaps 15 or 20 neighbors. We, Bianca and Claude Khaleesi of 26 Denmark Avenue, will be meeting with the Zoning Board of Appeal. We asked the board for permission for the garage and expand our attic for extra living space. Please refer to the architectural design. Attached for image, we are asking for your support. We enjoy our neighborhood. Thank you very much, and endorsed by several people as Mrs. Khaleesi has indicated. Okay, thank you very much. Do you have anything else to add to your testimony? Let me ask my colleagues if they have any questions of the applicants.
I only had one, and maybe it's because my copy of the plot plan didn't show it. Where is the 6-foot? Do we have a clean, maybe it's in the, one of the requests is because under 661, that requires a 10-foot setback, says that what you're proposing to build will actually be 6 foot from the side lot line. Which, looking at this,
So it's right at the garage. The garage
is it this end?
That's right. That was grandfathered in. Apparently, when the house was built, you know, that was something that it was already there, you know, and we.
and you're building directly above the,
Yes,
you're
we're
not encroaching
adding-
any further?
No, absolutely
That's
not.
what I thought.
just above the garage.
Okay. And similarly for the front, you're going right above where the exterior front wall is?
Yes.
You're not encroaching any further onto
No,
the street?
absolutely
So
not.
the current existing outer wall is 18 feet from the street?
Yes.
Got it. No more questions.
Also, I just want to, I apologize, like, we do want to have a long porch, that, right now we have only stairs and this very tiny porch, we would like to expand, the porch a little bit, and I don't know if that needs a variance or not, but I just want to present it to the
Well,
board.
we'll get to that. But, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. Let me ask you a couple questions. So this addition, when it's complete, it will appear and it will be finished in a way that's consistent with the balance of the home?
Correct.
You will repaint the whole home?
Yes.
Yes.
Be common shingles?
Absolutely.
Similar roof?
We might need to recite the whole thing just to match,
Yeah.
like to be nice.
Changing the garage door, are you?
Of course.
Yeah. So that when it's complete, it will appear as if that's how the home was originally built. That's one of your objectives of the design. Is there a basement involved here?
There is a basement,
No,
yes.
any work in the basement?
We would like,
Not for now.
for now, but
No. So what this application really boils down to is you've got an addition above your garage, and you need relief because your home is too close to the lot lines in the front and on the side. And while you're not further exacerbating that, you do need relief because you're adding to the structure in those locations. And then you also need relief because you've got a slight, small issue with respect to the definition of height as it relates to the bylaw. So that's basically what your application is for. Let me ask,
Can I add
yes.
something? So the peak of the attic is going to remain the same?
Yes.
Right.
We're
Yes.
just going to move the rear roof is going to come a little bit higher, the dorm. But the peak of the attic is going to stay the same?
Right, so from the front, it won't be visible. Yeah, no, that's an excellent point, yes.
That's good.
Let me ask people in the audience if they have if they would like to speak in support of the application. I see no one. Anybody wish to speak in opposition to the Yes.
No, I'm not in opposition, I just want to support. I'm a neighbor.
Okay, come on up and approach and introduce yourself so we can don't note it for the record.
Patricia Okrahuar, and I live at 47 Denmark Ave. And,
47?
yes,
Can you spell your last name?
OCONCHUBHAIR. And basically just want to support the family and keeping them in the neighborhood. It's obviously a small change. I'm sure it'll be architecturally pleasing. They're not going to make any drastic change, and keep the family together. Families grow, kids get larger.
her kid is at our house most of the times too, so is my child.
That's not part of the application.
The self-interested part,
Yes.
we won't note.
Obviously, your parents want to come over, so
Terrific.
you want to have room to keep the family together.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak in support of the application? Anybody else have questions about the application? Does anybody else wish to be heard by the board? Okay. Do you have anything else that you want to add to your testimony?
The house is going to be prettier than what it is now.
I think you're right. I agree with that.
That I agree with.
You're going to balance the house out a little bit better than it is now. It's a little bit asymmetrical, yeah. Let me ask you, just for the record, I know you submitted testimony or a letter from several of the abutters, but can you verify for us that the immediate abutters to your left, right, and the rear are either on this or have been notified of this?
We have, can I show you who they are?
Do you know their names?
Larry and Kathy, and we also
Why
have
don't you-
John.
Why don't you look at that and tell us
It'd
their
be
names and their addresses?
24 and 28, perhaps?
So 20 over here,
20,
Kathleen.
yeah, okay.
In that,
Milton. And then we also have Joseph Graney at 30.
Who's the immediate abutters?
You know, the one that it's the 6 feet away, it's Kathleen and Larry.
Okay, all right, thank you.
That's number 20?
That's number 20.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do my colleagues have any further questions of the applicants?
I do not.
Okay. So in accordance with the open meeting law, we're going to close the testimony on this application, and we will consider it right now. Manny?
Thank you. Thank you. I think the application was well presented. The need is clear. The requests are, they fall under 3 separate sections of the bylaws, but they're relatively minimal. I think the attic space is a convoluted part of the bylaws, and I think as the building commissioner noted, it's about 78 square foot in excess of the minimum requirement. The house, as built, will not encroach any further than the existing structure in either the front or side setbacks. So with all that said, I'd be in favor of granting the variances.
Teresa? Teresa? Teresa?
Yep. Yes, I think it was very well presented. It sounds like it's definitely going to create a hardship for you if you're unable to stay in the neighborhood with your growing family, and that at the same time, it's not going to do anything that would substantially be a detriment to the existing house or to the existing neighborhood. It sounds like it's going to actually be an improvement. So for that, I'd approve.
Thank you.
I agree with my colleagues. I think it's terrific. Thank you for your professionalism and for your application and for the work that you put into it and for your presentation. It'll be a great improvement. I agree with your architect. It's going to look better, and it's going to fit in nicely with the neighborhood, and it'll be great for you. So, all in favor of the variances, say aye.
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 Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please, let me just a couple of preliminaries. So it's going to take a little while for us to get to you a written decision, and I'd ask that you work with Mrs. Fitzgerald on that. She will, when the decision is written and signed, she'll certify that, provide it to you. You have that recorded at the Norfolk Registry of Deeds, and you deal with the building commissioner on pulling the building permit, with the only condition being that you need to comply with the requirements of the variances, of course, which will tie in your design, and the work must be completed within 1 year of today's date, of the date of the granting of the variance. So wish you the best of luck. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Good luck, everyone.
Okay.
Can we do it? Can we do it?
Yeah, sure. Great. Okay. We're not quite on Jimmy King time, but we're doing well here.
Jimmy King.
Oh, John Leonard. John Leonard.
Definitely not on John Leonard time.
John asking questions about insurance.
You know, that's the height of the kids.
So funny. Okay. So we're going to call to order our second hearing tonight, the 7:45 hearing. It's now 7:50. Upon the application of American Legion Post 114, dated January 12, on file with the board for an amendment to the existing special permit 821 issued on January 8, 1965. The applicant proposes to be able to park 6 to 12 commuter buses for the Plymouth and Brockton Street Railway Company between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, and to park an office trailer to eliminate drivers idling buses on the property located at 123 Granite Avenue, which is located in a non-classified zoning district. The special permit, when issued, was issued for the use of the private club only. All is set forth in the application and on plans with the board. I have with me the application submitted by the commander of the post, Paul McDonald, as well as a letter from the building commissioner indicating the need for relief from the board, some materials about the background of the post, which we're all familiar with, and some plans, the butters list, and I've got a copy of the 1965 special permit as issued by this board 53 years ago. The members of the post on approach, and welcome to the Board of Appeals. We'll be happy to hear your application. Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Appeals.
Thank you. My name is Austin, B-U-S-T-I-N.
Let's see, we're going to need that microphone, I think. It's not, it's for the people at home.
Oh, okay.
So if you wouldn't mind repeating that. sir.
Austin McGurk, M-C-G-U-I-R-K. And it's 77 Franklin Street.
Paul McDonald, M-C-D-O-N-N.
We can handle that one.
Oh, you can.
I cannot, oh.
M-C-D-O-N-N-E-L-L. Two N's, two L's.
Glad you clarified.
He's got it.
I don't own it. And that's in Bunton Street, Milton.
I'm sorry, where?
8 Bunton Street, Milton.
Chris Anzoni, I'm representing Plymouth and Brockton from Plymouth, Mass.
Welcome.
Ted Naser. I've been a member of the Milton Post for over 20 years, past commander 3 times, and I've always been involved with the veterans at the City Hall, Town Hall, and the cemetery and so forth. And I live at 109 Curtis Avenue, Quincy, Massachusetts.
Terrific. Welcome. Welcome back to the board. How are you?
Good to see you.
Great. Who's going to make the presentation on behalf of the Post?
I could, I suppose.
You're going to need the microphone.
Mike, get the...
First of all, as you know, we're a nonprofit organization. Our purpose is to be there for the veterans of the town and all veterans. We do a number of programs within our nonprofit basis, starting with Milton High School. We do a scholarship program every year for 2 students. We do a program we call Boyd State, and that's a program we send, you might be familiar with it, but we send deserving students, 4 of them, to Washington for an inside look at politics, and that's the Post has done that for years. We do another program called State Trooper Program, where we send two students from Milton to the academy it's a trooper cadet program. I'm trying to think, we have done in the past. Every year we do a veterans cookout for the disabled veterans in Brockton, Chelsea, and West Roxbury. We generally do 80 to 100 veterans. It's quite a lot of work. We've had funding problems lately, like everybody, and we haven't been able to do it the last couple of years. But we certainly hope to get back on doing it. We depend for our income solely. You're aware we have the cell tower there, and that was permitted to us. How many years ago was that?
About 9. About 9.
Oh, so we've had that sold, and that helps a bit, but it's not a lot of money. We definitely need options to raise money for the benefits we do. We came into the deal with the bus company, which requires, as you noticed, the parking the buses from 8:30 to 4. Some of the panic, I think, was that it was looking to be 12 buses. That's probably likely never to happen. Having talked with Steve here, it would be, right now, the way it works, it's every day there's about 4 buses. The 4 buses stay there generally from noontime till about 4:30. the buses are shut off, so there's no emission problems. The buses are not even noticeable from the street. We were surprised that we had a problem with it, because anytime we can get a chance to get a few more dollars to work our programs, we're interested in doing it. The buses, I went out myself from Granite Ave, and you can't see them, you can't hear them. I didn't think that there'd be a problem with it in the beginning. We weren't even aware that we'd need a permit. So we had the tower. The tower, by the way, was permitted by the town years ago, and that's certainly way more of an obstruction to abutters, or more visible to abutters than 4 to 6 buses parked during the day. I obviously wasn't prepared for this, so I don't know, but that's basically...
You're doing great.
That's basically the situation we're in. We need the money. I don't know if you've gone by the post lately, but back several years ago, the Heritage Hall at the post was used very much by Milton citizens, for retirements, birthday parties, showers, the like, and that like. We've lost a lot of the Milton business because the post is the function and whatnot, or they need to be redesigned and rebuilt. But these are the things we do. The money we spend is always back into the post, and none of us, well, no, we do get paid. Our finance officer does, but he gets a mere little salary to keep him going. And we'd very like to be able to keep with the bus company, and I think, because it's certainly going to help us. And
fair enough.
And anything we can do here to maintain the permit, I know that there are abutters, and I'd be interested in what, if any, complaints they have.
We're going to hear from them. We'll hear from them.
Perhaps we could address them too.
Does anybody else have anything they want to add to the application?
Just a short thing.
Yes. Mr. Commander.
This money, I have the canceled check. The money that we get from them is $1,200 a month. And that money goes directly...
The P&B pays the post $1,200 a month.
That's $1,200 a month.
Okay.
And that money goes directly into our scholarship fund, which benefits all the Milton school children, the high school students, mostly, all the graduates. I think we did 5 scholarships last year for them. I mind the Boys State and the Trooper program.
Okay.
But when this first came up, I'm the one that authorized it, for the buses to park there. And I've never seen more than 4. And the issue come up, I think, because they wanted to put a trailer on the site. And they had called the town on that. And that became an issue, and that's where we are today.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll just give it from the bus company's perspective. We used to park our buses in South Boston. They built a convention center. We had to get out of there. We moved over, I think, to Cavalier. We were there. They moved out. We had to get out of there. A little difficult for us to, find a home. It's not too...
Speak up a little bit.
Sure, we just,
Well, why don't you explain your role and why you're here? And
Sure. I mean, the Plimpton Brockton runs...
this gentleman represents the Plymouth and Brockton Bus Company.
And we run quite a number of buses from Cape Cod, Plymouth, into Boston. A lot of our buses are the commuter buses that the drivers go into Boston. They don't have anything to do all day, and they sit in the parking lot, and then they drive the commuters home. So one of the advantages we're doing, is getting cars off the road in the area. We do help the congestion of the area with the buses that are the ones that are parked here during the peak hours. In doing so, one of our difficulties is retaining those drivers because they're right all day. We do have a lot of turnover. So that was the purpose of the try to have a construction type trailer rather than have a driver drive or sit for 6 to 8 hours sitting in a bus trying to be comfortable in the different weather. We were just looking to have a box with some furniture in it, maybe a TV, something to that effect to control the temperature to allow them to just pass the time comfortably. So we didn't realize that we needed a permit. We just would ride by, found an empty lot, engaged them. They said it's a great, good idea, works for us all, and we're just hoping that we're not causing a problem in some ways. They said the money really is an economic enterprise. They're not making a profit of whatever they get, and they're giving back into the community. And I think the same thing for the buses. We're giving back to the community and helping getting the cars off the highway.
Fair enough. Let me make sure. I mean, I don't think it's clear from the application or clear from the testimony as to what we're really talking about. I'm just going to paraphrase what I've heard. What's going on here is the P&B is pulling in commuters from the south. They drive into town. They drop people off wherever they drop them off, South Station or whatever. These buses then leave town, and this is what you would call a midday layover area, where the buses will be parked during the midday hours, and then they'll return to get into town to get the people going back to their home. Is that basically what's happening here? And so while your application says 8:30, those buses will be getting there probably a little bit later in the morning than 8:30, or no?
They'll be phasing in during the day.
Phasing in,
Phasing out.
okay. And the trailer is so that the buses don't need to remain on to stay heated, because otherwise the operator will have no place to go. That's what you're saying. Do you have a location on the site for the trailer? Has that been identified? If there were a trailer to be put there, where would the trailer be?
I have a print. I'm sure they'd want it close to the buses, but they could put it close to our building right in the back.
Well, we would like to know. I mean, that's an important consideration for the board. You know, I know there was testimony that the buses can't be seen while they're laying over, but that was going to be a question of the members, I'm sure, as to where the buses are going to be, would be staged during the midday layover.
Buses right now are right back.
Beside, see the tower on the right-hand side?
Tower's here.
Yes.
On both sides of that is where they park.
Over this in here?
Yes.
On these?
Yes.
They're parked at the far end of the property, and they're well out of sight.
You can't see the buses from Granite Avenue if the buses are here?
Just partially, because there's large bushes
I see.
in front of them.
And where would the trailer be?
I think we were trying to get near the source of the electricity, and there's
Yes.
a electric pole on the...
Be in the rear or in the front?
Towards the front.
Behind our building over there, I think. Or would you put it down there?
Depending on what you would need.
All right, so there's people here who have no idea what we're talking about. I want to do this. So what you've said is that the buses will be here,
Yes.
and the trailer will be, well, one person said here and one person said there, so where would you?
We haven't talked about it.
Actually, the best place for the trailer would be beside the tower.
Beside the
You could
tower.
have the buses beside the tower, and between the buses and the tower, you could put the trailer.
And they'd all be out of sight initially.
All right, this trailer would be like a construction trailer, as if it were a construction site. Does it have wheels on it?
I think it's a portable...
It has wheels on it, but the wheels are covered or something like that, or?
So like when you go to a construction site, you just see a
Yes.
box that's sitting there, that's all it would be.
Construction trailer. It's about the size of a construction trailer. Okay. Okay. I'm not done with questioning, but I just wanted people to understand. I don't think it was clear from the testimony as to what we were talking about. It's a midday bus layover facility to accommodate commuters.
I didn't hear midday.
Well, okay.
Can you explain? You said
It's a term in the industry, but go, I'm...
Sure, during the peak hours, peak time commuter hours, the buses are coming into the city. During the peak time commuter hours, they're going out. So they start arriving, I mean, anywhere from maybe, depending on the travel, how long the traffic is, between 8, 10, 10:30, the buses will come in, and then from about between 2 and 4:30, so they'll depart.
come into Boston or into this site?
Into this location. They leave, I mean, they leave Hyannis.
And they wouldn't be going through town. When they come in, they'd be coming right off at Granite Ave. So the buses would never be coming into downtown East Milton or whatever, knowing that we have enough problems there.
So that's a question I had. Can someone explain the route, egress and excess? How do you get in and get out?
You guys know.
That would be on Granite.
I know, but I just don't know the exit
The
number.
comment about not going through East Milton, should we allow more testimony and ask questions later? Sorry.
No, I believe I have a map with me. I can explain it on a map, but not...
No, I live in the area, and I know you can't take a left out of that lot, right? To get out, do you need to go right, and the only way out is through East Milton Square? Is that a fair statement?
No. They come out and they can't, it is legal to take a left towards,
Crossing the 2 lanes of traffic coming into Milton Square and turning left?
no. We're down at Granite Ave.
I know we are.
Okay, they come out.
Take a left out of that lot. There's 2 lanes heading towards East Milton Square and 2 lanes going the other way. It's permitted to take a left out of that going towards Dorchester?
It always has been.
It has been.
Yeah, they are. So that, as I was saying, they never really affect downtown or East Milton traffic or any other part of town. The only time they're in Milton is as far as the post on Granite Ave.
Yeah, they just go by the park and ride lot. In and out of that area.
Okay.
Sorry to take us on a tangent.
It's fine. You have a question?
I do have one question.
Why don't we just...
Yeah, may I say a little something? First of all, I brought this newspaper in, and there's an article in here on the front page of the Quincy, the Patriot Ledger. Unfortunately, I'm on the front of it, and I took a terrible picture.
I don't believe
Anyway, it's talking about the veterans group declining membership and the way the veterans groups are going out of business. Now, for instance, there were 15 veterans posts in the city of Quincy. Right now, only 3 of them I have homes. The rest of them are out of business. So it gives you an idea of the declining membership and declining posts. And the reason why is because they cannot maintain the building, the cost of the building. And this is why we need the additional revenue. And naturally, the Plymouth and P&B bus will help us immensely.
Okay.
And I could, if you want to pass this.
Yeah, we'd
on,
like that, yeah.
take a look
Thank
at
you.
it.
I do have a question. My name's Therese. You had indicated that you were going to have this trailer, which I understand, which is going to help to alleviate any kind of idling going on the property. Is there any proposal for posted signage or some kind of enforcement of that? Because I know that although you can encourage these bus drivers to be hanging out in this trailer, the reality is that they could very well sit in their own buses and idle, and that would be concerning for the neighborhood, I would think.
One of the things we have on our buses now is these GPS modules, and when the buses idle for too long, it's a law, they're not supposed to idle more than 5 minutes if they don't have passengers on the bus. The signals go back to the dispatchers, and the dispatchers are aware, they get on the radio, they say, what are you doing idle on the bus? And so, I mean, our drivers are well aware of that. That's.
So you feel you have measures in place already that would prevent that from happening?
We do, yeah. I can't guarantee it, but it's all those puts in place that we do our best to prevent that from happening, yes.
Let me, thank you. You have questions? No. Let me ask if there's anybody here who would like to speak in support of the application. Is there anybody here who would like to speak in opposition of the application? Yes. Tim. Welcome to the Board of Appeals.
Welcome. Thank you. Hi, Austin. Hi, Paul. So, I was hoping I could read from this prepared statement.
Say your name and address for the record.
Okay. My name is Paul Doherty, and I live at 8 Thistle Avenue. And that's across the street from the Legion Post. I've lived there for 23 years. I'm a lifelong resident of Milton, and I serve as a town meeting member from Precinct 7. I received the abutters notice regarding this request to amend the permit, and I'd like to speak not only for my family, but also on behalf of the whole Thistle Avenue, Cortland Circle neighborhood. Although we support this veterans organization and appreciate all the things that these men and women do for our town, we ask that you deny this application for a number of reasons. While the land the post sits on is considered non-classified zone, According to the town's zoning map, such classification should be considered as general residential purposes. This is not a unique classification. It applies to a number of properties in the town, including some Milton Town properties, Cunningham Park, Hutchison's Field, as well as all the DCR land. We neighbors consider this stretch of Granite Avenue to be residential regardless of the presence of the post, the parking lot, or state yard. There are only 3 business districts in the town, and this area is not one of them. While the members of the post, as they come and go, may consider this side or area of the town an out-of-the-way part of the town, there is a neighborhood here. There are almost 60 residential homes nearby. We live here. The application seeks to allow up to 12 buses and an office trailer to be parked in a parking lot in what the town considers residential zone. These, along with the existing cell tower, would be totally unacceptable to us. The current cell tower is a source of concern. None of us were ever notified of the tower's permit application. The tower's appearance is lacking. The surrounding fence is in bad shape. The landscape is unkept. We wonder, were these conditions set in the tower's permit? Its skin is open for lengthy periods of time. In short, it's an eyesore. The tower currently seems to serve as best for cover for members to park their private RVs, trailers, and/or boats. The parking lot is something less than desirable to look at. Over the past few years, there's been a lot of interest, speculation, and discussion in developing this area of Granite Ave. I've heard everything from hotels, plazas, and a possible firehouse along this stretch of road. We believe the town would be better served by taking a look at the entire area as opposed to modifying a single permit here or there. We feel that granting this application is not the way to develop the area. If this application is approved, it would benefit the American Legion Post and not the town or any of its neighbors. We respectfully ask that you not grant the Post's application to modify the permit. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody else like to speak in opposition to the application? Yes.
My name is Eileen Merritt, and I live at 48 Maryland Road in Milton. I'm just about a year a full Milton resident since birth almost. I own the...
What's your last name, ma'am?
Merritt. N is in Nancy, E-R-E-T.
Thank you.
Mrs. Merritt, go ahead.
Now, I didn't intend to get up here tonight. I really didn't. I just came with my son to listen. But unfortunately, with these, they still don't work. So I'm just going to state my opposition is, I think the land, but the buses that are listed in the letter I got are much too many. I think the impact on the neighborhood would be horrendous. Not only for the neighbors across the street, but also the land that the post sits on, and plus Granite Avenue, I don't believe can take that kind of an impact. I happen to own the land next door.
Next to the post,
Next to the post.
on the same side of the post.
Yes, between the post and the DPW.
Oh, yeah.
It was once owned by Edward Grossman.
That's triple land.
And that's really all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs.
Thank you for listening.
Anybody else like to speak to the board tonight? Opposition or questions or, yes?
My name's Susanna Ryan. I live in Cortlandt Circle. First of all, I respect all of you gentlemen. I know you do a lot of good things for the town, so thank you. And I'm just concerned about the optics of this bus parking lot. 12 buses, well, how it's going to look, you can see the buses from the street for sure. Even though they are parked behind the tower, you can definitely see them. I mean, you can see one bus. I can only imagine what it would look like if there were 12 buses. It's just not, it's not an area for a bus parking lot. It's frankly not a lot of income to receive from this, and I find it hard to believe that the Post can't raise that kind of money through other avenues that would be less of an eyesore to the town. And Paul's right. I mean, there are some problems with the existing lot and the way that it's kept. And the cell phone tower is just an example. I mean, it just appeared, and nobody, we all see it from our homes, and I'm sure that a lot of you would not appreciate having a cell phone tower, within eyesight of your home or within, the proximity to your children. It's just not a place for buses, and it's I'm even more concerned about the optics of a trailer in the parking lot as well. Where is it going to go? There's really no place for it to go that would be hidden. So anyway, it's, I know there's a few neighbors here that feel the same way. I hope that there would be another way to raise money so that you guys can still maintain the facility and the building. But this is just something that affects the neighborhood in a negative way.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Address the board. Yes, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to thank you very much for your service. I really appreciate that. My father and my uncles all served. Second of all, please forgive my somewhat disheveled appearance. I was not going to give any testimony here or anything like that, but I feel compelled to say a few things. My name is Eric Isner. I live at 193 Granite Ave, same side of the street that the Post is on. I've lived there for approximately 15 years, and I just have to say that route, Granite Ave, is a very, very busy avenue. In the morning, sometimes it takes me 8 to 10 minutes to get out of my own driveway. Coming home, it takes me 8 to 10 minutes to get into my driveway. The traffic is horrendous at sometimes, and when there's no traffic, it's like the Indy 500, and there's motorcycles at night and things of that nature. As a matter of fact, I've never put out a basketball net because I'd been afraid it'd go into Granite Ave and my son would be run over. The noise is horrendous, the motorcycles that are going by, and I think that the thing that gets me is when you guys put up that cell tower, I was not for it, but it was overridden and it was put up, and since I've lived there and since that tower has been up, it has not been well maintained. The fence right now, as I drove here, has a hole in it. It's had a hole in it for maybe a year or two. Every day, I see a cherry picker and a boom truck there, repairing or replacing wires. The flagpole itself, I don't see the flag flying very much, quite frankly, and I assure you, I see it every day because I go to work that way. And the repairing and the flagpole itself, all we see is the wires hanging down, and I think that's an eyesore. The parking lot itself, and I'm not castigating anything, this is an observation from a person who lives on that street. And there's a saying, not in my backyard. So when I see that maybe 4 to 12 buses are going to be parked there, I really don't think that's an appropriate place. And I noticed that you guys said that you don't see the bus from Granite Ave. I assure you, sirs, you do. And if you see 4, 6, 8, or 10, or 12, I don't think it's going to help Granite Ave property value to landowners. I appreciate the fact that, money's tough and these places are closing down, but I don't think you should derive the revenue from that project per se. maybe it's a selfish point of view, but I think maybe 40, 50, or 60 neighbors probably feel the same as I do. And if there's a way of maybe putting either something else, but not buses that are what I'm not a bus designer and I don't understand, but I know they're 40 or 50 feet long, they're 12 or 14 feet tall, and you will see these. And you know, you will get emissions. You have to start the engine eventually, and then you're going to come back on the road at 4 o'clock at the height of traffic and do more traffic there. There's going to be an accident, and I just want to know who's going to be responsible when there is an accident. And there will be. There's accidents every day on that road, it seems. And I've seen this for 15 years. And I respectfully request that this permit not be granted.
Thank you, Mr. Heisler.
Thank you very much.
Anybody else wish to address the board tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Bernadette O'Flaherty. I'm at 41.
McCarthy?
O'Flaherty.
O'Flaherty.
I'm at 41 Thistle Ave. I used to live on Granite Ave. By the way, thank you. I hate that I'm going against you because we respect you, obviously, and your story was lovely, but your address has said you don't live in the neighborhood, and we do. We're across the street. Every day when I come out of Thistle Ave, my first view is the post after I turn, and I've noticed the buses, and I wondered about them. And their lights are on always, and they're on. You know, the buses are started this weather. They've been there for weeks. They were there today. And when you put the cell tower in, I lived on the street. I lived on Granite Ave, and we never got a notice. So I guess my question is, you said you got a permit for the cell tower, but I lived across the street and we never heard. It just went up overnight. And as Eric said, it does look awful. It's one of the things that bothers me the most. So adding buses to the area. And this lady here had asked about the trailer. And that was my question also, because my husband said, if you have a trailer, you have to have it heated. You'll have to have bathrooms for your bus drivers, even though I presume they'll use the post. I imagine that's what you were thinking. So if you're talking about 16 bus drivers, that's a big trailer. And there is no room for it, for the square footage, and you will notice them from the street. You notice the trees. You know, right now you have trees. They don't even cover the box. So, sadly, I have to say no. I hope that you'll say no to this. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to address the board tonight? Any other questions of yes, sir.
First of all, I have to disagree with some of the things that these people said. For instance, there's a lot of traffic on Granite Avenue, very much so. Are 6 buses on Granite Avenue going to make that much difference? The second thing is the tower. The tower has been maintained, and someone here said that it hasn't been maintained. I called myself to have them come down when something is wrong. And someone said that there was a hole in there. I didn't know anything about this hole. If there was, I would have called those people, and they immediately would have come down and take care of it. And as far as the cranes being there, they were there last week, and they're talking about wires hanging down. There aren't wires hanging down. Those are the ropes to raise the flag. So as a lot of you know, the flag does look great up there. And another reason why that we do need this revenue, I have to explain a couple of things. First of all, we used to have 300 or 400 members. Now we're down to around 100 members. Out of those 100 members, there's around 20 life members. So that means we're getting the revenue from 80 members. Now, out of the 80 members, they pay $50 each. I didn't want to bring up figures, but that comes to $4,000. Now, out of that $4,000, $28 from each member goes to national. That means we're getting around $22 from each member. So therefore, you can see we're only getting roughly around $1,700. Now, to give you a comparison of why we need the extra revenue, I want to bring up this comparison. That $1,700 will take care of 1 month's electric bill during the summer months. So this is the reason why we have to get some extra revenue somewhere. Now, the Milton Post has been here since 1919. Next year will be 100 years. We love Milton, we love the Milton Post, and we would like to stay here. And if we can't stay afloat, we'll have to leave.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Austin.
In rebuttal a bit here. First, I'd like to make it clear.
The microphone.
I'd like to make it clear that the maintenance of the tower and whatever disreputable stuff has happened to that tower is not our responsibility. The town every year signs a contract. As a matter of fact, 5 years ago, we tried to break that contract with the tower, and it hinged on them being, they have to be renewed a permit every year. And it hinged on them doing it, but the town has continued to renew their permit. The town has the option, if they don't fall within the requirements the town looks at, of canceling that permit. So all of the things that happen in that parking lot are really out of our control. We've asked them many times for more shrubbery. We asked, excuse me, for the flag. We finally got the flag, which if you haven't seen it, it's beautiful. It's up there 80 feet up, and it's great. But that's one thing. The bus problem, if you live on Granite Ave, you've got a bus going by your house every hour, every 2 hours, every day. Buses, traffic. In that particular neighborhood, traffic's horrendous. You get the noise from the expressway. You get noise from Granite Ave. I'm just amazed that we had so many rebuttals or arguments on it, but I understand. If I lived there, maybe I would. But you really, I can't believe that 4 or 5 buses that will help Veterans Service Organization in their finances is going to be a big argument. And as far as the trailer, I'm sure we could work things out if we had to. If the trailer, that seemed to get a lot of attention. We could arrange for those bus drivers to stay upstairs at our post. You know, we could put something up there for them, and things like that could be worked out too. But at the most, right now, since this started, there have been no more than 4 buses. And I think we stand to lose a lot for what we try to do in the town if we don't get the permit.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wish to be heard by the board? Any questions by the members? Let me just tell you what I think we're hearing here. So for the record, the application is to park 6 to 12 commuter buses for the P&B Street Railway Company between 8:30 and 4:30 Monday through Friday, and to park an office trailer. Now, I heard opposition in particular with the volume of the buses. And then I heard testimony from the Post that it was 4 to 5 buses and maybe no trailer, but you really don't know where the trailer is going to be. I'm not sure the application is ready for us. I mean, in the face of some pretty significant opposition from the neighbors and no support from the neighbors and questionable volumes. Now, I heard different testimony from the neighbors that some objecting to the number of buses and some would have no buses at all. And clearly, a lot of the objections from the neighbors also touch on the pole that they don't like. Which is contributing to the problem, even though it probably has nothing to do with the buses per se, but it's got to do with the maintenance of the lot, the overall appearance, and the way that the neighbors feel. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's basically the sense of the testimony. So while the board will consider this application if the Post wishes it to, I would say an observation as the chair tonight is is there's potentially some more work to be done here with what you're asking before we consider it. Is we're going to consider it right now if that's what you'd like us to do.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could revise that.
Yeah, we're not going to negotiate it right now. And I'm going to obviously speak to the members, and it would be up to the members, but there are more questions than answers that we've heard tonight. And a significant amount of opposition and significantly no support. I didn't hear one member of the neighbor speak in support of the American Legion Post.
I wouldn't expect.
Well, you see, I don't know about that. It is the American Legion Post, 114, right?
No, I understand, yeah.
You know, you've got some challenges, and, you know, even the idea that you wouldn't even have a trailer at all, it seems to me is a positive. I think there's a big difference between one bus and two buses, and a big difference between 2 and 4, and certainly a huge difference between 4 and 12.
Yeah.
And 12 feels to me like a bus parking lot. 1 feels to me like maybe somebody waiting for an event at the post. I don't know. There's some more work to be done. So I don't know what the members I think about this.
No, I agree. I mean, the location of the trailer, what the trailer will look like, the size, which will obviously depend on the number of buses you're contemplating. And there's a lot here we don't know. And I think as written, it says 6 to 12, although I heard you say 4 to 6. The application, the written application can...
That's all we've seen.
So, I think as the chairman said, if we were to act tonight, we would be acting on this application, and I'll tell you this, I'll tell you how I'm inclined to vote based on what I've heard. I wouldn't be inclined to approve an application to permit you to store up to 12 buses in that lot.
That's the scary part.
Right? That becomes a bus parking lot. I mean, I'm not sure how much is left of the lot if you put 12 buses in that.
We might, as you suggest, rethink and reapply and give you a more specific,
Each bus
total number.
takes...
And maybe if we put the total number to 6 and we take the trailer shed or whatever out of the mix, we might have.
I don't want to say one way or the other. I don't want to prejudice the hearing, but I want to advise you that I think Mr. Alves' sense of it is I certainly share that. Therese, do you have a question?
No, I concur with the...
Let me also note for the record, this is residence. This is considered by the board to be residentially zoned, even though, as it was correctly indicated, it was unclassified. I think it had to do with the development of the lot, perhaps originally not zoned because it had been maybe perhaps part of the reservation, at least according to the 1965 special permit. I think some of the neighbors might be actually interested in the 65 permit, and if you'd like, you could get in touch with Mrs. Fitzgerald. She'd be happy to PDF it out to you, because it does contain the background on the unclassified nature, and I know that was your issue, but be assured that the board has no question that it will consider this to be residentially zoned, and I think that's important for the folks from the Post to be aware of. Yes.
The lot is in a, I just wanted to make note that the lot is also now in a flood zone A.
Yes.
The entire lot, so I don't know if that affects the trailer.
You're stealing my thunder. I have talking points on that. I've been asked by the clerk of the Conservation Commission to also let you know that that we would like you to speak to the Conservation Commission, or at least the clerk, about that issue, and that may matter about where this activity may be proposed.
Right.
So,
yeah, I understand. I don't think.
Oh, this is yours, yeah. It may not, but it may not be. But and we're not the Conservation Commission. But let me say this: are we hearing from the Post that you'd like to request an extension of this hearing?
I would like.
Or would you like to suspend the hearing and seek another date in the future? No, what do you...
I would suggest withdrawing it, because
Withdraw.
this application was noticed and published to the public, right? So this would be what we would be acting on unless we republish it. And to do that, it will be a new application. I mean, that actually reflects what it is you intend to do, because what is written in the application and what you testified to sound very different.
We would withdraw that.
Okay.
That would be my recommendation.
Well, no, withdrawal and postpone are two different things. Withdrawal is as if it was never submitted. Postpone means that we've suspended it and we'll reschedule a hearing.
We would want to look for convenience for the bus company for some extension until we can...
Well, yeah, but what Mr. Alves is indicating is the testimony is of what is actually going to be done is inconsistent with what's been advertised to the public.
Right.
So what we'd recommend is if you withdraw and then speak to the building commission about reapplying based on your real plan or your proposed
What
plan.
I'm asking, this is the current plan with the buses now.
We'd like to resubmit, I think.
How long can these buses park?
That's an issue you have to take up with the building commissioner. That's not in front of us tonight.
We're non-permitted at this point.
Right, and we don't have an enforcement action in front of us. You were asked to...
So we need to talk to the building.
I would recommend you do that.
We need some kind of continuance, obviously.
Well, what we'd like to, no, we're not going to continue. What we'd like you to do, we're suggesting that you withdraw and reapply. And in the meantime, you should speak to the building commissioner about the current activity that's out there, and you should work on refining your plans, keeping in mind the objections you heard from the neighborhood and the sentiment of the board. And we also ask that you make a visit to the Conservation Commission to assure that both the neighbors and the Conservation Commission that whatever the proposed activity is fine with them. Okay, fair
If I
enough?
can make one last suggestion.
Mr. Alves.
The neighbors obviously appreciate the work you do, as we all do. There may be a way to achieve what you're trying to achieve in a way that addresses the concerns of the neighbors. You may want to talk to them.
I think that's wise.
Right? Because they live there, they need to deal with this, and they appreciate what you do. So there may be some way to address the financial concern you have. Maybe not, but I think a conversation can only do good.
Well, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you for your service.
12 buses is a tough sell, isn't it?
Could I have that paper back, please?
Oh, yes, please.
Thank you very much.
Nice photo, by the way.
Good to meet you, sir.
You look great, Teddy.
Mary, how's everything going? Good seeing. Yeah. Oh, that's fine.
My son's played for the Legion Post baseball team.
Yeah, baseball, yeah, I know. They didn't mention that.
Surprised, my son was on a team that went to the World Series. They had one heck of a team.
Wow.
Nice.
I'm surprised he didn't list that. He was going through all the things.
He was doing it.
Yeah, I know.
If it were me, believe me, you know.
It's E-R-I-C-I-S-S-N-E-R.
The next one has posters.
What's that?
This one has posters.
Okay, so you want me to send you the decision?
How's it going so far?
Fine.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, maiden voyage.
It's great that you're here.
Sink or swim.
Thank you for joining.
Probably.
We were talking about the decision, which is right, I mean, the old decision.
Yes, exactly. I'm sorry. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'll be happy to send it.
Thank you very much.
If you have his address, I'll do.
I put mine in there.
Actually,
I have it right here.
yeah, have that.
Even better. Thank you so much.
I got it saved to the soft copy anyhow on the,
Okay, we're going to,
let me, see if I get these people to move forward.
what's that, Mrs. Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Yes, we're going to call to order our 8 o'clock hearing. It's 8:40 now in the John Cronin Conference Room. My name is Jeffrey Mullen. I'll be acting as your chairman of the Board of Appeals tonight. With me are Manuel Alves and Therese Quijano. Quijano.
Good.
Quijano, Therese Quijano, both members of the board. Welcome. This is the application of Jonathan Moy, dated January 12, 2018, on file with the board for a variance from the terms of Section 61 of the bylaw. The applicant proposes to build a 28-foot by 8-inch by 38-foot, 28-foot 8-inch by 38-foot 8-inch second-story addition, which will cantilever a distance of 18 inches beyond the existing front and rear walls of the single-family home located at 35 Reservation Road in Milton. Section 61 of the bylaw requires that new buildings or new portions of buildings be set back a minimum distance of 30 feet from the rear property lines, except that no building need be set back more than a distance equal to 30% of the average depth of each lot. They're testing our math tonight with the dormer and the minimum distance, 30, the old 30% rule.
Yeah.
The average depth of this lot is 46.46 feet. Therefore, the required setback distance for this property is 13.94 feet, where the applicant is proposing 10.7 feet. The property is located in a residency district. I have in the file, I have the application of Mr. Moy. I have a letter from Mr. Prondak indicating the issue with the application, denying the application and referring the matter to the Board of Appeals. I have a set of drawings showing the second floor addition at 35 Reservation Road, which were prepared by Chu and Company. And I have a plot plan of the property prepared by Hoyt Land Surveying of Weymouth, showing the existing property and its location at the intersection of Waldeck Road and Reservation Road in Milton. I see the applicant is here, and I'd like the applicant to approach. Welcome to the Board of Appeals. How may we help you? Everybody can approach. We've got...
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. My name is Jay Duca. I'm here on behalf of Jonathan Moy, who owns a property at 35 Reservation Road. The property has 6,352 square feet of area. It's improved by a modest 2.5-story home, which fronts on Waldeck and Reservation Road with setbacks, front setbacks of 12 and 13 feet respectively. We propose to replace the existing second floor to allow for more practical living space. Right now, the ceiling heights are not practical to use because of the sloping roof, and it's very small. Mr. Moy is getting married this April and intends to live there and raise his family in the community. The shape of the lot creates a hardship that only allows for a vertical extension. The proposed extension increases the floor area by approximately 370 square feet. We ask that you consider that the granting of the variance doesn't derogate from the intent and purpose of the town bylaw, and the project will not change the character of the neighborhood. That's pretty much our presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
That's great. Members have any questions?
So as I understand it, you are just proposing, it's really just this differential of the few feet and the setback, but that everything else is in compliance with the zoning requirements?
Yes, we're not creating any new nonconformity. The height and footprint FAR will all be, will not create any new nonconformity.
Are you expanding closer to the setback?
Yes, we will be increasing into the front yard setback by the cantilever by 1.5 feet, 18 inches on both sides.
So currently it is, whatever that is, 10.7 plus 1.5 is what the existing, okay.
Yes, it'll be a difference of about 1.5 feet difference.
So it's spread out on both sides?
Yes, on the front, on both sides. It'll come out at 18 inches.
So it's sort of overhanging. That's the concept of cantilevering. You're not actually expanding the outside walls to that distance. So up top, it will extend and overhang by that 1 point.
Yes, I think for all intents and purposes, it's going to remain on the existing footprint.
Understood. Yep.
Is the roof coming off and a new cap is being put on the top of the building? Is that basically what's happening here?
So the second level will come off. A second floor will be built with 8-foot ceiling heights with an attic above.
Right. It'd be a more conventional roof. Now it's a sloping roof.
That's correct. It'll be very typical.
Yeah. And when you say a front I know you're not the architect, but when there's a front elevation, what's the front? What building, what street does the front face?
So it has two fronts, actually, one on Waldeck.
The confusing part of that.
Yeah, and that's what creates some of the hardship. It fronts on both.
Unusually shaped lot.
It's an unusually shaped lot, yes.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, I didn't give you a chance to answer your question. The front elevation is showing the building from which location?
That would be from Reservoir Road.
From Reservoir?
I'm sorry, Reservation Road.
Reservation Road, yeah. Because the building is, the design is a little unusual, right? Because if you're looking at it from Reservation, it will go like this, and it will cantilever, as Manny indicated, cantilever on both sides. And then go up. Whereas a more traditional design might just be cantilevered in the front, like a
porch, almost.
Yeah,
You have a porch
like a
underneath.
little overhang. You see buildings like that are fairly common.
I think, too, the thing to remember, most of your overhangs are usually 2 feet, like split-level homes. Those usually, that's more of a
Very
cantilever.
common, yes, yeah, okay. So this is 18 inches on both sides, and that will be viewed from the front, from the front from Reservation, and from the rear from Waldeck.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Which explains why it has a Reservation Road address. And the addition, when it's completed, will appear uniform with the balance of the home.
Yes.
And what is going into the addition? What are we talking about in terms of rooms and things like that?
So we'll have a total of 4 bedrooms total.
How many bedrooms now in the house?
Depending on how you look at it, it could be as many as 4. They're very small. There's 2 upstairs, 2 downstairs.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Is the attic space, is that intended to be livable space as well?
No,
or?
there is no access except for there'll be a hatchway of some kind to the attic.
Okay. So it's just the replacing of the second story?
Correct.
Okay.
And Mr. Moy, do you live there now?
Actually, this is Raymond Chu. He's going to be the contractor.
Oh, you're the contractor. Where's Mr. Moy?
Mr. Moy is not here this evening.
I got it. And you are?
His wife. I'm training right now.
You're an architect in training, or contractor in training. Excellent. All right. And Mr. Chu?
Yes.
So you did the drawings? Or you were design builder, master builder?
No, I am with the architect, like come out a design.
I see.
So I know what I want, so I helping Jonathan Moy, right? Actually, family, really close to family.
Of the Chus?
Moy.
If I may clarify, I think that...
I'm sorry, I didn't want to assume who was who, but I...
The clarification, the architect is Arthur Chu, C-H-O-O.
Yes.
This is Raymond Chu, C-H-U-I. Two totally different people.
I was supposed to know that?
I know that.
I noticed that Chu and Company did the drawings.
Correct.
That's not your company?
Nope.
You're the contractor?
I'm the contractor.
I got it, okay. Both happen to have the name Chu. Sounds like Chu, spelled differently. Fair enough. Okay. For the record, the applicant's not here. He's represented by Mr. Duca, his counsel.
Yes, I'm not an attorney.
You're a building inspector.
I am a building inspector, which should have no bearing on this.
I'm not
obviously.
saying it does. I just, we know of you, and we know, which is a credit to you, so.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay. You are his authorized representative.
I am, and I have the document in the package somewhere.
Yes. Well, you submitted it, right, on his behalf?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, okay. And then Mr. Prondak, with whom I'm sure you are familiar,
Yes, I
wrote
am.
back to Mr. Moy.
I didn't get the last part of that.
He wrote back to Mr. Moy in
Yes.
response to your application.
That's correct.
Okay, fine. So,
All clear?
it's okay with, I'm good with that.
It's all clear now.
All right, well, can I ask if you had an opportunity, but did the applicant Did the applicant have an opportunity to speak to the abutters on this?
I know Raymond could answer that. I know he's been in touch with the neighbors. He's been shoveling and maintaining the property and shoveling snow. And Raymond, perhaps you could, I know there's been a recent bereavement in the area, and he's been in contact with some of the folks out there. That's my understanding. Mr. Moy's been in contact with some of the neighbors.
Yes. What's the sense of what is your testimony as to the neighbors indicate a level of support of this application?
I believe he go over there like all the time and then meet with all the neighbor, and then they never talk about the project, about this project, to be honest with you.
I think the best we could probably offer is we heard no opposition.
But can it be determined that the people were properly noticed of the hearing? And that no one's in attendance tonight?
I think that nobody in attendance speaks to that there is no opposition.
But should I also assume from that answer that there's nobody who lives in the home now?
There's nobody living there now.
And is this a significant renovation that's going to be done at the home, or just this addition? Is it a gut replacement, that kind of job?
There'll be, there'll be a rehab of the first floor as well.
What's the condition of the property now?
It's poor, very bad.
Yeah.
All the floor is like not in good condition, you know. All the kitchen cabinet, right, is kind of really old. You know, and then all the wallpaper in there, all the window is kind of very old. Since the house is built.
And would the work that you do, other than the work that is shown on these drawings, is it going to include improvements to all of that as well?
Correct.
And do you have an estimated cost of the renovations?
The estimate cost, right, about like $300,000.
And is it Mr. Moy's intention when the work is done to live there?
Yes.
With his family? You said he's getting married this summer.
Going to start a family. He wants to live in the community.
Okay.
We're getting married April 24th.
Is the board invited to that? I think we're busy. I don't know, Manny.
I can make it.
No.
Okay, a little Board of Appeals humor. Members, my colleagues have any further questions of the applicant?
I do not.
I do not.
Okay, so we'll close the testimony portion of the hearing, and we will, in accordance with the open meeting law, consider the merits of the application right now. Therese?
I would say that thank you for your presentation. Although Mr. Jonathan Moy isn't here, you represented him well. I think, as I understand it, it doesn't seem that there's going to be a great detriment to the structure. It seems that it's going to be an improvement, that it's going to be an improvement on both sides, as I understand, 18 inches, and that you will not be the variance because of the non-conforming lot as it already is, taking the 30% average depth, you would be required to have 13 feet approximately already to the setbacks, and this is proposing just to have a little bit under 11, as I understand it. And everything else that you proposed is in full conformance with the zoning bylaws?
That's correct.
So I think that I would vote to approve it.
I agree. I would just, for the record, say, let the record reflect that no one appeared in support or in opposition of this. This is an unoccupied property that the applicant is going to be spending a significant amount to rehab and update and live in, and it'll be a great improvement to the neighborhood, and I think the encroachment here is relatively minimal, so I'd be inclined to vote in favor.
I agree with my colleagues. I think the lot is very unusual, unique for the town, and it sounds like a terrific project that was well documented and presented. I agree with my colleagues on that score, and I'm going to vote in favor as well. Let's vote all in favor of the variance.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr.
Thank you, board
Duker,
members.
Mr. Chow. Chu. And
Miss Chu.
Ms. Chu in training.
In training.
And wish Mr. Chu, the other Mr. Chu,
Did a very good
Chu and
job.
Associates, and Mr. Moy, of course, our best. So you've got your variance. I know that you're familiar with this, but it'll take the board a few weeks to write it up and coordinate with Mrs. Fitzgerald to obtain it, file it at the registry. There'll be a 20-day appeal period. You'll work with Mr. Prondak to obtain your building permit, and you must complete the work consistent with the application, consistent with the drawings by Chu and Company within 1 year of the date of the variance. And we wish you best of luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, board
It
members.
was great to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to tackle this?
I want to what?
You want to tackle this? Sure. Did they give you a sample?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
They gave me some sample decisions with the basic standards.
Even called worse, right?
No, he's going to
Gonna do the first one? I'll do the last.
Yeah, no, let's not put anything else on.
Okay.
All right, you guys